moving. I came on camera. Sorry. Welcome,
Good
everyone.
evening, everyone. Jim Hicks from San Jose.
Good
Jim,
evening.
welcome. Good evening.
So we're gonna be asking some questions today. So y'all get ready to have y'all keyboards ready. Have y'all keyboards ready to tell us y'all business. Hey, y'all sales business. How about that?
One couldn't even tell you, but I had to tell somebody, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
Ain't no way in the world I would have told Elvis, but like I said, I didn't.
Let me see who that is. Because ain't nowhere in the world we want to be able to stop our conversations here.
I already know. Telling y'all about being on here off mute on y'all cell phone. Y'all know we on YouTube Live. Whole world hearing y'all conversation. All right, guys, so we're gonna get rolling here. And speaking to everybody on YouTube.
Lonnie, what do you got going on in the background? That's a different kind of a background. What do you got?
Yeah, that's the deck of a C-17. I just retired from the military last year, and it's still with me. Some of my photos, so yeah, that's just the
Okay.
inside a military jet C-17.
Okay, thank you.
Well, what's the
I would've
C-17
known-
for some of us? Is that an aircraft carrier?
Thank you for your service too. Lonnie
Yeah,
Cooley.
appreciate that. Appreciate that.
Absolutely. Thank you for your service.
Yes, that is an aircraft carrier. Yes, cargo carrier.
All right, guys. So, of course, there's people that join this call every week that want to talk more about scripts and what do you say, and and we're going to talk a little bit about that, but we're going to also ask that everybody here be upfront with what they're doing as well too, because one thing I would like to see more of is more people graduating from this call to Sharonda's call. And by graduating, that doesn't mean you don't have to get on this call anymore, right? Whether you do or you don't, totally up to you. But we certainly want to see more people evolving from this call and moving to the other call that is more accountability, which means that you're probably making more phone calls and doing things like that. Is that fair to say? So I'm gonna ask a couple questions and have y'all put some numbers in here. So I was preparing y'all for that. So people won't be acting like they can't get to their screen because they don't want to answer them questions. I know how we do it sometimes. So first question is, again, who's making calls, right? And you don't have to say me, you don't have to raise your hand. Put a 1 in the chat if you are actively making CDL calls. And I don't mean making 1 call a month. I don't mean calling your brother, sister's, cousin's, uncle, because they drive a truck and that's the only person you call. I mean, that means you have a list and you're calling people. You're actively working your business by making calls. Okay. See some ones popping up. All right. Give y'all a few more seconds. I know some of y'all is taking a long time to reach that 1 on your computer, so I'm gonna give y'all a couple more seconds. All right. So the next question is going to be those people who said they're making calls, all the ones that I see popping up. How many of you all are actually following up with people, right? Put a 2 in the chat if you're following up, and then put a 3 in the chat if you have followed up more than 5 times. And I don't mean with every prospect. I mean, if your process is you follow up more than 5 times. So you've got people on your list that you have contacted and haven't gotten them on the line, but you've reached out more than 5 times. Look at these numbers going here. So I need to know who to mess with. Okay. And it's a good number of you all. I would definitely say it needs to be a lot more with 60 people on the call. That's just my opinion, but right, we do have a lot of people making some calls. So on the follow-up, we got Doretha, Wanda, John, Barbara, George, Rose, Jody, Rosie, you sent yours to Veronica, Tracy, Valeria, Annette, Stephanie, Gwendolyn, Bob, Wilma. Okay, all right, Daryl, Veronica, Luis, Teresa. Okay, that's good. Good. All right, so let's look at the follow-up more than 5 times. So that's what we're gonna start at. George, Jody, Wanda, Barbara, Daryl, Rose. And YouTube, y'all can put that too. I can see y'all too. So if y'all want to put those numbers up there, I can see them over there just like I can see them here. Annette, other than CDLP. Marion. All right. So I'm gonna call on a couple of people and Sharanda and John, if y'all got some stuff that y'all seeing there that y'all feel like y'all want to, you know, say something about those responses and call on some people. I'm gonna go to the 3 first. So Tracy, you can unmute yourself.
Hello, good evening.
Hey, how are you?
Doing well.
Good. So just a couple of questions for you, because I see that you said that you're following up and you said you're calling more than 5 times. How often are you doing that?
It's not very often, but I can think of maybe 4 clients that I've done that with, where I've followed up more than 5 times, or at least 5 times with them. But it's not something I've done with my majority.
Okay, I got you. And what kind of response are you getting after dialing 5 times? Are you still not getting anybody? What's happening?
No, I can think of one client in particular where I get them. They say hello, you know, hey, how are you doing? You know, just following up with you. And many times I'll do it, like for instance, this blitz that's going on this week. That was one of the clients where I had, you know, followed up with her several times. Initially, there was a time when I was just trying to get her driver list, you know, just trying to get her list of drivers, because she said she wanted to plan, but I could never get that list. And so then I kind of, you know, backed off on that. And then with the upcoming blitz coming, I called her again just to say, hey, just checking on you, want to see if you know about the blitz, and, you know, would you like me to send you a flyer? But on that particular call, I didn't ask about the list, but I still want to keep myself, you know, in her memory. You know, I want to keep myself recognizable in case she should need me. But that's the response I got pretty much.
Got you. Last question for me. How many calls are you typically making, like in general, like on a day-to-day basis and things like that?
I've had some personal things going on the last 2 to 3 weeks, but I would say my usual is I would say about 15 per day. But that's kind of been cut back due to some personal issues in the last few weeks.
Okay. All right. About 15. All right.
Yes.
I got you. All right. Good. John, Sharon, anything? You guys good?
Well, it's a question of asking for the sale. You know, if you keep calling and ask that, if I'm just following up to say, what's it going to take for you to start this program? What's going to take for you to implement this program? What do I have to do? What do we have to do to begin this? Because sometimes, like I mentioned before, people that sometimes are just too nice to say no. You know, they don't want to be rude or cruel. Then I tease my wife about this because she's making calls too, but she's in the insurance business, but she calls the same 5 people all the time. We can throw some fresh meat in there, okay, some fresh calls in there. And because I asked her, what are you doing? You know, you haven't sold, and she wants to go on vacation. I said, well, you got to sell a policy. And, you know, so you have to make more than those 5 calls to the same 5 people. You got to throw 5 more people in there and 5 new people and keep adding to it. But ask for the sale. That's sometimes the hardest thing to do, is to ask for the sale.
Absolutely. That's great. Yes, that's true. Thank you.
Miranda, anything?
No, I mean, I work with TJ, so I know she has a good pipeline, so I guess that might be one of the things is to just ask for the sale sometimes, you know. And whether they want it or not, that'll let you know to stop calling them, you know, like John said, you know, but so yeah, I think that may help. I think TJ has tough skin now. She ready to ask for the sale. Right, TJ?
Oh, absolutely. I think I'm right there. Yes.
See?
Even on tomorrow's blitz. Absolutely. I think I'm right there. We're very ready.
Yeah.
So before I call the next person, if y'all can go ahead and write these steps down, because it's funny, like John just touched on something and showed Sharanda about the closing, and that's one of the steps. So maybe we should have these written down in front of us as we asking these questions, so you'll see where that comes up. So the first step is your opening. So just step one is opening. Step two is pitch. What's your pitch? And we talked last week about finding your prospect, right? So we already know from the third, the fourth, the second annual, all these annual trainings we've been doing, you know how to find prospects because John shows you every year how to find prospects. Lamar has showed you how to find prospects. Catherine has showed you how to find prospects. Sharanda has shown you how to find prospects. So we know where to go to get them from without leaving our house. We know how to pull them and research them. So right when we pick up the phone and call, we got to open it, then we're going to have a pitch. And then third is going to be one of Sharanda's key points, which is questions. That's the third step. Ask questions. Ask questions. The fourth step is going to be conversation, something else that we talk about, especially in the CDLP space, having a conversation. Some of us sound like saleswomen and salesmen, and you shouldn't. I know that's what you are, but you shouldn't sound like that. When you pick up the phone to call somebody, you should be able to have a conversation because that eases things on both sides. Because some people don't want to sell and some people don't want to be sold to. So if you got somebody calling to sell, somebody on the other end that's going to have to buy, right? You're trying to get them to buy. So we got somebody selling, somebody buying, but the seller don't want to sell and the buyer don't want to buy. That means that you need to be having a conversation and just let that sale kind of organically happen. And that doesn't mean not do step 5, which is go for the close. So I know I was talking to Stephanie Bob earlier. Me and Stephanie were talking earlier, and we were just having that conversation about going for the close. A lot of times we have conversations, and the problem is we stop at conversation. We don't actually ask them for the sale, or we assume our pitch was so good, they're gonna say, sign me up. And that is such a dream that our conversation is so good. And it's like, so man, where do I sign? That only happens on movies. That doesn't happen in real life. In real life, you have to actually tell the people to buy it. That's the way it works. It doesn't matter how good the product is, right? All right, so make sure you guys have those 5 steps written down. So let me go back to the chat because I'm gonna call them a couple more people. So Veronica, let me get Veronica. If you can unmute yourself, Veronica, is that possible? And if you have your camera, if you can cut your camera on, that'll work too. If you can't, if you're not in a position to, we understand. But if you can cut your camera on, that helps everybody as we're talking to you because it this gives people a visual and audio. You still there, Veronica?
I'm here.
Are we gonna get camera or no camera? Just let me know so I know what to expect.
I'm getting ready to put on a hat.
I love it. Soon as I see you pop up, I'm gonna drop you in this spot with the 3 of us. As soon as you pop up. And again, we just gonna ask Veronica just a couple of questions as well about where you at. Let me see.
There she is.
Oh, there you go. There you go. We shut this real quick. Let me. Oh, I can't find you. Hold on.
You want me to pin her?
Yeah, I'm pinning her. There she go. Okay, I got you now. All right, so you should be, so you're up there now. So just real quick, for you, you said 3, so you come following up 5 or 7 times. Like, how often are you doing that?
About every 3 weeks or so.
Every 3 weeks or so? And then every 3 weeks.
One of them the other 2, I just check with them every month. But I guess I'm stuck at the conversation stage. Because we always have conversation and they say, oh, I'm gonna get it. You know, I'm gonna get it real soon, but then, you know, they don't sign up.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So that's good that we put those steps up there because it gives people a chance sometimes to just recognize what the challenge is. So now, anybody who was having a problem closing here, if you're saying, I am calling people, I am having a conversation with people, but I'm not asking for the close because I stopped this relationship conversation and then one of us end up getting off the phone. So go ahead and put a 4 in the chat if you really simply, right, guys, and be honest. If you don't know how to close, if you don't know what to say to close, because we'll throw some stuff in here, right? We'll talk about it. All of us, all the trainers will have a conversation about it. So a couple of things when it comes to closing, Veronica, is one, a really great way to close. And let me tell you, you're gonna love this idea, right? Because it's so brand new. I'm sure you never heard this before. A 3-way call. You know your third party person closes for you, right? So if you do a 3-way call with somebody, that third party's job is to close. So that's one way, right? So when you talk about, if somebody is saying, look, I have trouble closing, maybe that's your weakness. Anybody on here that's listening, right? Including Veronica. If that's your weakness, do 3-way calls because that third party expert is supposed to be closing that person for you. That's one way. Another way is you have to come up with a line that you can use to close that you're comfortable saying so that you're willing to say it, right? So that you're willing to say it, right? And I'm gonna mess with you in a second, George, because I know you're a sales guy. I know George is like a sales guy. So I've got all kinds of things I'll say to close people. And I always prepare this in my mind before I make the call, just in case I have to close, right? So if I'm having a conversation with you, Veronica, and I may say, okay, so no, it's been really good, like having a conversation with you. So let me ask you a question. Like, are we ready to go ahead and get you enrolled now? Because if we go ahead and get you started now, we can make sure that boom, 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 boom. Whatever it is I'm selling, whatever program I'm selling, right? So I'm gonna close that off with whatever I'm selling. Another thing that you can say when it's time to close. So you can say, so I kind of pretty much told you everything there is to learn about the membership. I told you how it can protect you, how you can benefit from it. What I would like to know from you is when would you like to get started? That's another way that you can close. Right? There's all kind of conversation pieces that you can use to close somebody and not sound aggressive. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
So it's really just about making it as natural as you can. So I was listening to the training, this was some years ago, and this guy gave a really good example of the idea of a script. Because I'm not a script. I'm not a scripted person, but I have learned over the years that some people are, and that you have to discuss scripts because scripts just really do work well for some people. And this is the best way to explain it. Every movie that comes out, when they shoot the movie, every actor has a script. Yes or yes? And they have to learn that script in their trailer. And the idea of a good movie is when they learn that script and come out and do it, they do it so natural that even though we know that they all had a script, it doesn't seem like they're reading off a script. And that's the same thing that we're doing here. When you go to close, you're scripted because you thought about it before you got on the phone with them. If I go to make a phone call, if I know I've had enough conversations with this person that I should be able to close them, if I feel like they're in the closing zone, I'm having that conversation with myself before I even call that person. So I know how to close that off. So I don't get caught in conversation after conversation. And then they end up jumping off or I end up jumping off. And then I still don't get the sale because I'm nervous about asking for the sale. Right? So sometimes you can actually pick up the phone and call and go right for the close. So Veronica answers the phone and I say, hey, Miss Veronica, this Robert, I'm just following up with you again, see whether you're ready to go ahead and get started. Right now, I'm in the process of getting some people wrapped up today. And I was like, you know what, let me call Veronica and see if she's ready. If you're ready to get rolling, now I can go ahead and get you enrolled. If you're ready to go ahead and make your payment, your first payment. I don't have to have a conversation with you, right? I just pick up the phone, call you, and then ask you how you went, because we've talked so many times. I mean, what else is there for me to say to you? Right, we got off the last phone call, you still didn't buy it, you know all the benefits, you know all the features, right? You know you need it, you just haven't bought it yet because I haven't asked for the sale. So I call you, I just jump right into that sale. There's so many different ways to close, it's ridiculous, right? There's so many different ways to close. You could also prompt them with an email first. That way it's easier. I'll send Veronica an email. Hey, Miss Veronica, right? This is Robert Dunn. I'm gonna be calling you later on about 2 o'clock. I want to see if I can go ahead and get you wrapped up. I got about 5 or 6 people I'm looking at getting closed today and getting enrolled into the membership. So I'll be giving you a call about 2 o'clock. Is that okay? That person responds back, oh, you can go ahead and give me a call at 2 o'clock. They've almost just given you permission to close them. If I send you an email, say I'm sending you an email to let you know I'm calling to close you, and you say, okay, I can call you at 2 o'clock, I'm assuming to close. Now, what happens if they don't respond back? Guess what? I'm still calling them at 2 o'clock. But guess what happens to your mindset in a scenario like that? You feel like you kind of already told them why you're calling them. Even though they didn't respond, you're saying to yourself, they saw the email, so now you go in there and you call and you go for the close. It's just about coming up with different techniques to do that. So, George, where you at, George?
I'm in Kissimmee, Florida right now.
All right, so I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions here real quick, just because I know that, you know, outside of just Legal Shield, like you've been in sales for years, so it's always good sometimes to just hear somebody from the audience that's not one of the corporate sponsored trainers, because Sharana gonna talk about closing and John gonna talk about closing, and somebody gonna be sitting in there share saying, oh yeah, they're a trainer, of course they saying that. That's what they're gonna say to themselves, to tell themselves that we're not really helping them, right? So George, tell me some things that you say to close, because you open in groups every month. So you're doing something, you close in some kind of way. So what are you saying to people?
Well, you know, it goes all by the temperature, but if the conversation is going well, you know, sometimes they may ask, all right, this sounds good. You know, what is it that you need from me? And I just stop the conversation there and I let them know, well, what we need from you right now is your tax ID number. And you already told me how many employees you have. So we will set them up in the group enrollment. So basically a tax ID number and the list of drivers that we could enroll today. Who would handle that on your behalf in regards to me sitting down with them right now over the phone or setting up an email list so that you can send me the drivers right away. That's one. If they ask, what do they need from me right now? If they don't ask, I will ask, did I make, you know, everything clear for you to understand? Is there anything, you know, that's fuzzy in your mind that you may need some clarification? Here right now, I can answer the questions for you. If I don't have the questions, I will let them know. Hey, listen, that's a good question. Let me get my field trainer on the line and we can answer that question for you. If they're willing to stay on that line and my field trainer is available, get them on the phone right away and get that done so that those questions could be asked and I could kind of, you know, make them feel confident that it's going to be a seamless process. And if not, you know, if they're still fuzzy and they want to think about it, well, then I'll ask them, you know, what, when is a good time for me to call you back and follow up with you in regards to, you know, sitting back and asking you what else you would need to know, what more information you would need to have in order to get your company enrolled and helping you with your stats. It all depends on the conversation of how it goes, the temperature of, I say, the room, right? But basically how they perceive, you know, it's going to be beneficial for them.
Absolutely, and that's good, because like I was talking about just talking to a driver, and you're talking about the group closing process, which a lot of people need to hear, because a lot of you all on here, right? Put a 5 in the chat. You guys are calling on groups, right? You're calling on trying to talk to decision makers and close trucking companies as a group. So that's really good because that's a completely different, right? Because now you're talking about getting the authorization group form signed and all of those different things. Makes a lot of sense. And you feel like that's effective when you're doing that. You feel like you're getting, like, is anybody throwing anything at you, cussing you out, telling you don't ever call back here again? You know how it is.
Yeah, no, I got one today. His numbers were real high, and he basically said, listen, you're asking me to tell my drivers to take more money out their pocket, okay, for something, that they really can't afford. And I said, well, look, I totally understand your position on that, but, I think what we have to offer is more beneficial than taking $1,000 or $2,000 out of their pocket for violations that they may get down the road. And he paused. It's all about how you look at it. I told him, if $1 a day is going to affect them drastically like that versus taking the load, bringing it from point A to point B, and God forbid they get a violation and it could cost them $500 to $1,000 or whatever. I think, comparing apples to apples, it's really a no-brainer in regards to the drivers looking at something that could be really beneficial to them. And it's just not offering them just something on the road, it's covering them off the road as well, and their spouse.
And their spouse. That was a good comeback. I like that rebuttal. And you said
So he could take that cost from them because he's paying out more than they are.
I love it. And you said if you can't answer the question, you call your field trainer. That was golden. Who's your field trainer?
One and only. One and only, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, he's concerned about his drivers can't afford it. But if they get a citation, who's truly paying for it, him or them? So we're really saving you money, so you can take that cost for them. $30 a month saves you thousands. Plus, it keeps bad things from happening to your company. You know what I'm saying? It's good that he cared, but if you care, you take the cost.
Right. Mm-hmm. Isn't that just like he's saying, just like you walking into a business and the owner saying, you asking me to talk to my employees about talking to my customers nice so that they don't leave my store? Yeah, that's what we're talking to you about doing. so that you keep your business. That's what we're talking about doing, right? So yeah, that was a great comeback, and I'm glad you did it without being nasty or whatever, because you could have been really sarcastic. Like, I think you did better than me on that, because I think I don't know how well that would have ended for me. I might have been just sarcastic enough to get hung up on.
Yeah, but Miss Miranda has brought up the New York thing from me, so I've tried to calm it down a bit.
Yeah, that's him in shelter. Yeah,
I appreciate that.
But
Sharanda, I was about to turn it over to you, Sharanda. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I was gonna just come back with AJ. AJ put in, drivers make $1,500 a week. Most drivers don't, seriously. Maybe in the bigger companies with bonuses, but with these smaller companies, a lot of them not making that unless they own the truck. You know what I'm saying? But an average driver with the companies that a lot of these people are prospecting, they probably make 1,000, and the way things are now, they're struggling a little bit to make that 1,000 a week. So, because they're not getting bonuses like the big companies. So I just want to make that clear,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So give us some closing. Give us some closing tips here, Sharanda. Give us some you work with a lot of people. I know you doing your thing.
Well, just like with George, with that guy there, he seems to be concerned. That could have been just an objection he just wanted to throw out there, meaning he was going to keep his drivers away. You weren't going to get access to him. But, just taking that back from him and saying, hey, I understand your concern. A lot of the companies that I work with, they see the value of protecting their company. So they pay for this portion of our ticket program, because a lot of them do. So, since he's concerned with costs for the driver, a lot of our companies take that. They do that for their company. Another thing is for closing, just trying to tackle what's going on right then, and that comes from the questions, just what you're gathering in the questions. Because sometimes I don't always sell doubles, I just try to just see what they're focused on right then. I do always ask that question, do they have drivers with problems like the child support, and a lot of them come up with that now that they're open to say that. Because a lot of times that question that, they'd be like, oh, no. But now, you ask that. But honestly, I don't sell a lot of the combos right away because I just try to close with whatever they see the problem is to them right then.
Good stuff. Good stuff. John?
Well, right now, you can always, when you're talking about the combo plan, what's hot in the news right now is throwing the IRS auto protection too, because truck drivers get audited a lot anyway. They're going to be even more so now with the 80-some thousand IRS auditors they're hiring to go after the middle class, people like us. The reason why I do my own taxes because I don't have a bookkeeper. But I've been audited, because of it. But it's you have to find the hot button, the hot topic. Child support's one of them, like Ms. Rando was saying. But just fish around with those questions when you ask, and then when you fit the right one, wage garnishment's another one too. That's a hot topic for truckers, that are running away from maybe child support or maybe spousal support. So when you hit that hot button, that's when the door opens. It's like the skeleton key that opens the sale. But just ask enough questions, the right questions. I don't think it will. It's probably something you want to talk about necessarily to truckers, even though they all need it. But just find that things that are in truckers' lives daily. And as far as being too expensive, it's a noble thing we're selling. You have to way and feel about it that way. Because when I mentioned in my business, I was selling these LED lights to trucks. They would buy hundreds of dollars of lights for their trucks. And I thought that was a really waste of money. They were just thrown away at their truck just to make it look pretty. And truckers would do that, and with the money they're wasting on that, they can take a small portion of that and put it to this program that we have. And then, show member perks, talk about that and say, we can give you a way to even offset the cost of it.
Yeah, and the member perks are a good way to close as well. Using the member perks to close, that's something that I've done, especially in a group enrollment, when I'm closing during a group enrollment. Also the questions, right, that we talked about. A lot of times when you ask questions and you find out the pain point through asking questions, you can close using the pain point, right? By asking them, right, are you like getting the membership will get rid of that pain, right? Of course, obviously you're not saying it like that, but you're letting them know the problem that they said they have. We can resolve that problem by getting you enrolled into the program, right? If that company is saying, oh yeah, we're taking a really bad hit and we got to do something about this, say, well, one of the ways of doing that is by letting me go ahead and get these drivers enrolled, because if we protect the drivers, we can then in turn protect the company. So you're allowing the answers to their questions, their pain points, that conversation to turn into a way for you to close them as well. So I think really it's just about being able to, again, have a conversation, ask questions. Now your comfort level comes down, right? Well, your comfort level goes up and your wall comes down, and it's not as difficult to close people. Sometimes it's just in our mind, because when we pick up the phone to call people, we're expecting to get a sale. So we kind of saying in the back of our mind while we're talking, when am I going to slip the close in? When am I going to slip the close in? And it's almost like, just have a conversation. Just talk to them, ask the questions, right? Do your opening, do your pitch, ask your questions, have your conversation, go for the close, and just do it. Let it kind of roll that way. Does that make sense to everybody? That makes sense? So I saw some people in the chat who put a 2 but didn't put a 3. So what I want to do is look at some of those 2s, because that means that they are making calls. but they are not following up 5 times. So let's find out why some of them aren't here. Who are we gonna mess
What
up?
number you looking for?
What
number?
2, the 2s. So if you want to pull a 2, Sharanda, those are people that said that they're making calls, but they're not following up 5 times.
Oh, you got Leland Lewis, Miriam Walker, Teresa West, Louise Bates. You talked to Veronica. Daryl Stanley, those are 2s. Miss Wilma, Bob, those are 2s. Gwendolyn Farley Smith.
Let's grab Leland, just because let's grab
Annette Roselle.
are you available, Leland? Going once, going twice. Are you available, Daryl Stanley? Going once, going twice.
Well,
Did I hear something, or did I not hear that?
I'm sorry, I'm right here.
Okay.
Oh,
Who is that?
Leland.
Leland.
Leland? Let me get you in here. All right. Can you cut your camera on, or can you not cut it on right now?
Well, I can turn my camera, you know. Okay, right here.
Right, here we go. All right, so you're making calls, Mr. Lee. Thanks for joining us, by the way. So you're making some calls, but you're saying that you're not following up 5 times. So is that you're not following up at all for you, or you haven't reached 5? Explain to us so we can talk about that.
Well, I have been researching these companies, and I have my partner, Miss Bates, helping me out with those.
Louise Bates?
That's right.
Right, good stuff, good stuff. And when you're making calls, have you not been calling long enough to have followed up 5 times yet? Is that what the challenge is?
Well, I have been calling on some of those people. So I wasn't able to get all of them.
Gotcha. And what prevented you from calling 5 times? Is there anything particular? Is it?
That I don't know. I've just been trying to reach out to people.
Gotcha. So there's been no fear. There's been no, I'm not calling them again because they said something to me that I didn't want to hear. You just really pretty much haven't gotten to that space yet where you called 5 times.
That's right.
Gotcha. Okay. That's good. It's good to know that. And that's why we actually put it in the chat, because we want to know. So we appreciate you letting us know that. We know you're not having any challenges. You just haven't gotten to that point yet where you're going to be doing it 5 times. Absolutely.
All right.
Is Daryl still with us somewhere? Did Daryl speak up? I know he's.
He unmuted.
Oh, you unmuted? You unmuted, Daryl?
Yes, I am.
Okay, hold on. Let me get you pen here. In 1 second. All right, there you go. How you, brother?
I'm going okay. How are you doing?
Good. So tell us what your scenario is with not calling 5 times.
Well, I don't follow with the same trucking company 5 times. I mean, if I get I speak to the company that I'm talking to and maybe set up and get an appointment, but then I don't, as far as calling them back, repeatedly, I don't do that.
Got you. And any particular reason why you're not like following up until either you get to sell, or they basically say, hey, Daryl, look, man, stop calling me, man. I ain't interested in your product. Sometimes they'll say that.
Well, when I set it up, I usually get it set up when I do make the call, and and I get the field train on to go through the process. So I just don't go back and call them again because the process is already done.
Okay, so what you telling us is you don't need to call back 5 times, because before we get to 5 calls, you done got your thing set up. Is that what I hear you saying?
Yes, well,
I love it. Okay. So let's talk about that. So what is your process? How are you getting that done? Because that's something that we definitely need to hear on here. So you're not even getting to 5 calls. So what's your process?
well, the people that are the trucking companies that I'm calling, some of them will throw me out, or then and then there's no reason to call them back because they don't want it anyway. So I just keep moving. I just don't follow up 5 times with them. It's time to move on to the next trucking company. If they don't want it, I can't push them.
There you go. So that speaks to the process of sometimes we're not getting to getting to the right prospect because we're calling the wrong prospect too many times. And what you're basically saying is, if you basically tell me, look, what you have can't help me, I'm not gonna call you back 4 or 5 times. I'm gonna call somebody new because there's people out there I can help.
Exactly.
And when you make that call and you get that person on the line and they are interested, I heard you mention field trainer. You're pulling the field trainer in and setting that up that way with a 3-way call and closing out that way?
Yes.
And who are you using for a field trainer?
I'm using Sharon Holiday.
So you call in, getting the person, setting them up for the knockdown, making an appointment with Sharon, getting her on the 3-way call, and then closing that group out that way.
That's correct.
Absolutely. That's good stuff. So I hope y'all taking notes on that. So George and Daryl both, right? Picking up the phone call and getting them on the line, then using the field trainer to help close. And that's a good closing technique. Now let me ask you this, Daryl, before I pitch it over to the other trainers. Are you using Sharon to close for you, or are you closing the deal and then bringing Sharon in? Is Sharon your closer?
Sharon's a closer.
There you go. There you go, guys. So for those that were saying, man, I don't know how to ask for the close, I don't know how to ask for the sale. We talked about it before Daryl even jumped on here. He's using the field trainer to do his closing. So if you can't close, if you're scared to close, if that's a weakness in your setup, right? Because we all got strengths and weaknesses. If your weakness is closing, that's another reason why you should be using a field trainer to get that field trainer to close for you and split that business, because that's one of your weaknesses, right? You're gonna pay now, you're gonna pay later. You're either gonna pay somebody to help you, or you're gonna not get the business and pay by not having the money in the first place. I mean, that's just that's the way it works. You're gonna pay now, pay later. So Sharana,
What up?
turning it over to you.
Oh, well, what?
Whatever you want to talk to Daryl about.
Okay.
I'm not gonna pull them on and pull them off and don't let y'all jump in there.
Oh, no. I mean, he's following the system. He's been around a while, so he's following the system, so he knows. So you're making qualified leads, but he's making a choice too that, if they don't want it, sometimes like we keep following up. And like John said, they might not come out and say it. So he's not wasting time on that. He's just keeping it moving. So, and then he's using a field trainer. So, that's good.
Good stuff. John.
Yeah, I get those too, where I don't have a good vibe on them, but I still keep them in the loop. Like I'll watch their scores, because you don't know what's happening with them at that particular day. You're calling on them. They might be dealing with some stressful issues, and they just don't want to have anything to do with anybody, let alone a salesperson coming in and just offering them some help. But just keep an eye on them. If you see they're starting to lose drivers, or their scores are going up, or they get fined, those are reasons to give them a call back again.
Oh, yeah.
But because if you don't, you're just laying the foundation for another associate to walk in and finish the job.
That's exactly right. But I just follow back up again at the end if I, see if the numbers are still bad or whatever, just give them a call back then. But as far as following up in the beginning, when they tell me no, that's it. I'm gone. I need to move on. I need to make things work.
Yeah, there's too many trucking companies to go after. Focus on the nose, but don't discount because things change, maybe that safety manager will change too, they don't have their job for life either. Unless you're talking to the owner, but maybe the next time you're going to talk to the owner's wife and she might have a different perspective.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people out here playing in the space, so, and I see it all the time, field training, different people, they are running in the same circle. Somebody else would say, oh, I'm talking to something. I'm like, they're talking to somebody already. I've had to do that. I mean, seriously, it's like, and it's crazy. Like, the people are in different states, the prospects in different states, but they're running in the same circle. So it's true. It's a lot of people in the space. So follow-up is important more than ever because a lot of people are really tapping in. So like John said, you did all that work and something you said might have triggered. Somebody gonna come along and they're gonna say just enough. And they're gonna be ready that day. So
hey, then they gonna be messing up the numbers. Some yeah, I'm closed in 2 touches. That because somebody else already did 7 and then stop. That's
right. Yeah.
That's what happens. And now you think you super saleswoman or super salesman of the year. You like, yeah, all I did was call them 2 times. And that was a slam dunk. That's because somebody been playing full court with them for 2 months before you got there, right? And then they got tired of calling, or they got busy, or whatever. Life happens, it happens. And that's why sales is so interesting. That's why it's really important to keep good stats, keep good data, and make sure you keep up with the people that's in your pipeline. I think I saw somebody, I don't know, Days More, somebody else dropped something in the chat a minute ago talking about having people having a pipeline. Got to have a pipeline full of people, guys. Like, you can't, man, sales calls, prospecting and sales calls are the lifeblood of your business. Prospecting and sales calls. If you don't have prospects, you can't make calls. You can't tell me I'm making 50 calls a day and you got 100 prospects. That means you're making 2 days of calls. That's it. It's a wrap. You got to have a lot more prospects if you want to make a lot more calls. So the amount of calls you make have to go along with the amount of prospects you have. So yeah. don't fool yourself into believing that you're gonna make all these calls next week when you only got 30 or 40 prospects, because it's just not gonna happen. You have to have an abundance of them, and there's a whole bunch that you can have, because every year, plus throughout the year, we talk about where to pull them from. So you guys know where to get them from. There are thousands of trucking companies that you can be calling on, and it's not as many of us calling on them as it is calling on regular groups, right? So there shouldn't be a reason why we can't get those groups. So this is part 1 today too, by the way, guys. It's going to be more than one part of this. We're going to have a couple of weeks because it's a lot of information. One of the things on opening, going back to the first part, which is opening, that I want to mention is like with the gatekeeper and stuff. Because some of you guys are calling companies that have a gatekeeper. Now, if you stand super small, like Sharanda talks about, right, super small company, you're probably not going to run into a gatekeeper. But I know some of you all are doing something different, and you are calling and you are running into a gatekeeper because they've got X amount of drivers and there's a gatekeeper there. One of the things I want you all to do is stop pitching the gatekeeper, because I'm talking to people that's pitching the gatekeeper, and the gatekeeper don't make those kind of decisions. Now, that's not saying disrespect or not talk to that person. That person has the ear of the owner most likely. So them liking you will get you in there, but understand, you have to have enough posture to not pitch the gatekeeper. The gatekeeper don't make those decisions. So when you call them and you're opening, you have to be prepared. If you're calling companies, right, big enough to have a gatekeeper, you have to keep in mind that your objective is to get through the gatekeeper to the owner. And one of the things that I use is first name. One of the things I used to use is calling them by their first name, right? So if I look across the top, who can I see? Wanda. I see Wanda up here, right? And if Wanda is the owner of the company and there's a gatekeeper, I'm going to say, I'm looking for Wanda, right? And Carmen answers the phone. And she says, hello, this is EXP Trucking. How can I help you? And I say, oh, this is Robert. I'm looking for Wanda. Is she available? And Carmen's like, what is this? What is this for? Oh, I'm calling from Oceanside Benefits Group. I'm calling about an email that I sent you earlier. right? I'm making this familiar, right? And one thing I know about the email, this is why I like to send an email, not full of stuff, guys. You're not sending an email with information for them to look at before you ever call them. You're just sending an email saying something to them, a small pitch. Hey, I want to give you a call later. I want to talk to you about what we can do to help you with your safety score or something. Like you put some information. Send them something about their safety issue. Don't tell them that we're going to fix it, because we're not. Send them something that will get their attention. That's why I like to say, like, throat grab and ad copy makes so much sense. You wouldn't believe how many people I talk to because I send an email that says something that gets their attention. You got to get people's attention, and it has to be short, not 3 paragraphs, something short. Hey, took a look at your safety score. I want to see if we can do something to help you get that a little bit more stable. I'll be giving you a call later on. Your signature on the bottom. Now when I call and Carmen answers the phone and I say, hey, this is Robert, I want to speak to, I would like to speak to Wanda. And Carmen says, well, who are you? What is it in reference to? Or I sent her an email earlier, Wanda email earlier about helping with the safety score. So I wanted to speak to her, see whether or not I can kind of help her, right? Now, Carmen now calls Wanda on hey, there's a guy on the line there, Robert wants to speak to you, say he sent you an email. You think Wanda about to check through all the emails she got and see whether she saw my email before she gets on the phone with me? Chances are she's just gonna jump on the phone and say, you know what? What email did you send me? Who is this? I just want to get you on the phone. Now, if you cuss me out once you get me there, that's fine. I can deal with that. But I need to get the owner on the phone. I need to get through the gatekeeper. That's my objective. And if Wanda gets on and she's a little bit agitated and she's like, okay, who is this? I sent you an email earlier about helping keep your safety score stable. Do you got just a few minutes so I can tell you why I'm calling, and then I can set an appointment for not, and I know we say 15 minutes, but let me tell you something that I've learned. Say a different time, because everybody says 15 minutes, but keep it an odd number, right? Every sales rep says 15 minutes. You got 13 minutes, you got 17 minutes, you got 19 minutes.
I don't say no time.
She don't say, see, Sharana don't say no time. And the reason why I'm saying that is because don't sound like everybody else. Because if you say, I need 15 minutes of your time, what do you sound like? A saleswoman or a salesman? The littlest things turn people's attention, and it's like, right? Just little things that you say. So whether you follow Sharonda's advice and say, I'm not even gonna say a time, I'm just gonna say, when can we speak? Or when she says what she says, she'll tell you exactly how she says that. She doesn't say anytime. I try to throw another odd number at them so that it doesn't sound the same, because again, small things like that get people's attention. Everybody's personality is different, so there's so many different things that can work. You gotta figure out what's the best thing for you to say so that you sound natural. And it starts with making that effort of doing those little creative things like sending a quick email. That really does help if you send an email before you call. Like me, a lot of times when I'm doing sales calls, and I'm not even talking about CDLP at this point for myself, when I make calls, I send a sequence of emails because I believe in building up a prospect list big enough that I can make several calls. Does that make sense? So I have people in a pipeline and I'm sending emails. So I may not call Carmen until the third or fourth email. Now, even though she may not be reading through my emails, guess what she has seen? My name. I'm familiar to her. She saw some emails come through. And again, it can be educational. It don't have to be anything. You don't have to send anything Legal Shield, guys. I'm not sending, don't send Legal Shield attachments. Don't send a fact sheet. Don't send anything that says what we do in the name of our company. You're sending educational emails. Hey, right? The road checks are coming. Are you prepared? Right? Saw your safety score, some things we can do to help stabilize. Educational stuff that doesn't let them know what your pitch is going to be. Does that make sense to everybody? You're making it a little bit softer when you actually pick up the phone to call them. Is that fair? So, Sharana, I always go ladies first.
What?
So opening. Like you're calling companies, right? Sometimes you flat out cold call. Like, what is your opening? Like, what are you saying to these companies when you dial them?
Well, that information came across my desk.
I love it. Your information came across my desk.
Right. same old stuff, you know. Information came across my desk. Wanted to calendar some time with you so we could discuss how we can help with these DOT violations that your drivers are getting. But most of the time I stop, you know, just because I ask. Sometimes when I'm really focused, like right now, I do some research where I like to know the name. It just makes me a little bit more postured up. Versus asking for the person who handles the DOT violations. Sometimes I just like to have a name. And so I just ask to speak to that person. Like I stay small. So most time it's the owner. I think today, me and D, I was determined to make this man the owner. And he was determined to tell me he was not the owner. And but you know, I just felt like he was the owner. I really did. And and I asked some questions from the violations. I kind of get personal with them with what I see. So I'm trying to ask about a violation that I see, how they handled that violation. Do they have a program in place? That's normally my first thing. Do they have any type of program in place that helps with violations? I asked them, do they know about a program? Most of them think that, you know, it's nothing out there can help them because they've tried data queue and things like that themselves and it haven't worked. So I just continue to just ask some more questions specifically about what I've researched. And then, then I talk about how, we do have programs that help with that. I ask more often now, do some of the citations have court dates or are they finding that, they just having the inspections and getting the citations with no court dates. Some of them have fines or not. So, sometimes that can be tough. Like today, the guy was like, he didn't, there was all vehicle maintenance stuff. They definitely wasn't getting any court dates and things like that. He didn't even know about data queue. So he really just was out there, they just had got done with an audit. So he just didn't have a lot of, resources. So, just to share with him that we had a resource in place. He was very open to hearing. He said that he would get back with the owner. So definitely, we're going to generate an email to send to him. But I'm just going to recap a lot of the points that I made today, because like I said, they don't have a program in place. They the inspections that they're getting are geared towards the vehicle maintenance. And just talk about the things that we talked about today and see can, we try to help them implement something in place for the drivers and the company to help them to keep these numbers down because they just had a safety audit. So the conversation is sort of just back and forth like that.
Gotcha.
Huh?
No, that's good. Conversation, like I said, the opening, the conversation, that's what they need, that's what they need to hear. And again, guys, I labeled this Zoom a little bit differently because people are telling me that they can't find some of the Zooms on YouTube. Some of the YouTube trainings. So this one says CDL sales process part 1. So y'all go back to look at that. And I'm gonna try to start putting the links in the CDL Facebook page. Sometimes I'm just too busy to get to that. So John, we're gonna go to you, and then George, I'm gonna get you. I see your hand up. As soon as John finishes, I'm gonna call on you on mute.
Well, a lot of us, there's the pre-work you do your research, and then you know what kind of conversation you're going to have when you open the conversation. And a lot of times it's very simple, like Sharonda said. I see that somebody came across from the FMCSA that showed that you had undergone an audit, and you got a fine from the DOT. We want to talk to you about a program that we have that can maybe avoid that in the future or minimize those unpleasant things happening. And that's just have to go see where the conversation goes from that. If he wants to know, tell me more, or then you go on and say, well, this is something that we can give to your drivers at no out-of-pocket expense to your company, or then when he talks about the price, usually the price doesn't even come into play at all in the beginning. It always is towards the end. But just show them what you can see, publicly on their SMS report. A lot of times you'll see they've had some of the bad fines, like a drug ticket or excessive speeding ticket. And you can boldly say, did you have to let that driver go? Did you have to let those, let him go because you got that ticket? Wouldn't it have been better to have an attorney represent him in court, to get that ticket at least reduced to a lesser infraction and keep their driver, instead of having to train a new driver, which has got a big expense into it, because replacing the driver is expensive for training and onboarding them. So if you're talking to the right person, they'll know those situations. But we talked about, you had mentioned earlier about talking to the wrong person, and I've had that experience where I was dealing with somebody, I was taking with me, and I brought him with because he spoke Spanish. But he would present all the time to anybody and anybody that had an ear or two ears. I just had to say, don't talk to him. Just let's go. When you're wasting your breath. And sometimes it's hard for associates to do. There's all that will always be selling, but in this environment, you always want to sell to the right person. You don't want to sell to the wrong person. But yeah, you open a statement, and sometimes you have to have 2 or 3 different ones depending on the company you're calling on. But something else I like to do is I'd like to do a little introspective after each phone call. I'll stop and I'll say, what went right in that phone call? What could I have done better? What did I say that, or what didn't I say that I should have said? And that's how you sharpen your own tools when you make that conversation and talk to these people, because they're going to throw you curves all the time. They're going to, and you have to be prepared for that curveball when it comes. They might say, well, I have something in place already. Okay, well, we know there's nothing like what we do as far as going to companies and groups. There really isn't anything out there except for what maybe drivers buying truck stops. But if they say they got somebody helping them with their safety scores already, then the answer is, well, that's fine, because we can't help you with your old safety scores, but we're here to prevent the new safety scores from happening. Sometimes you're going to call in a trucking company that has good safety scores, and your conversation will be, well, would you agree there might be room for improvement? Because a perfect safety score is almost impossible, but there's always room for improvement, on your safety scores. And having an improved safety score, what would that mean to your company? Could it be maybe lower insurance costs? Could it be, better contract offers from brokers or from other products you might be hauling for other people? If you had a good safety score or a better safety score, and those are just some of the things you learn as you get to the end of these conversations, and when you research companies and do a diligent research on them. You don't have to get down into their closets to see what's really happening deep in the woods on them, but just get the basic information out, and then you'll have conversations to talk to them about.
Absolutely. And we always try to tell people stay within the first 6 months of the damage, because that's the hottest point right there, was within the first 6 months. So George?
Yes. So going back to rewinding a little bit in regards to like the emails and speaking to trying to get through the gatekeeper, like you were mentioning earlier. Mm-hmm. I've found this to work for me with a little tip. Maybe it'll help everyone else. I'm brand new to this, so I'm trying to find ways to get around that gatekeeper. And what I've seen is companies with 10 or less employees tend to be the ones that are the owners, right? And what I've found is to try to get around that gatekeeper is going in through SMS and finding their email. And a lot of times what I've found is the owner's name or someone's name is attached to the email. Instead of xyzllc@gmail.com, it might be aid@xyz@gmail.com. And I would ask for that person, and try to circumvent that person that's answering the phone. And it's worked for me quite a few times. Like I said, though, it's 10 or less, smaller companies, 5 or less, 3 or less, right? But I've found that they attach their names to it. Doesn't happen all the time, It does happen. You may catch a big company, 20, 30, 50, that may have a person's name, but it could be the safety officer or the safety director name on there. But I found that I've gotten around that gatekeeper right away when I've mentioned, yeah, let me speak with Abe. Oh, sure, who's calling? And I got that name just because of that email. So if that helps anyone.
Yeah. And it's funny because all of those things are like, it's similar to like when I said, call the gatekeeper, ask for a name, right? Sharanda said, I don't say who handles DOT violations. I try to pull a name and ask for a name. One thing I will promise you is when you're cold calling, if you have a name, it will increase getting around that gatekeeper or speaking to the right person if you call and ask for that person's first name, because people just assume that there's a relationship there. And by the time they realize it's not, guess who I got on the phone? The person I wanted to talk to. So, and that's where it's at. That's where it's at. So thanks for adding that, George. So that's really helpful. Doretha Hall.
Hey, I just wanted to piggyback off what George just said. I experienced that today in one of the calls that I made, and I asked for that person. And he answered the phone and made an appointment.
There you go. Good stuff. So again, it happened today. Just happened today to somebody. So that really does work. I see questions about about your name and your information. So I just put it may have, did it go down too fast? No, it's there. So if you scroll up a little bit, at 9:41 p.m., I dropped a template, and it's a signature template. An email wait a minute. Oh, wait. That might not be the right one. Well, hold on. Let me put another one in there. That's not the one I meant to give you guys. I meant to do the email signature. I think that's just the.
Well, Dumber, I'll say about the emails too, that you want to make sure somehow your email can stand out or something, because they get a lot of emails anyway because of solicitation, and they could have been in business for years. They're always getting solicited by insurance and other types of companies and things like that. So I had one of my clients today. That's what he was like. He was like, "Ooh," he said, "I get so many emails," and he had missed an important email because he had lost his authority for about 3 days because he gets so many emails. And he was like, just one day that I didn't shuffle through all them emails, it was something in there I really needed to see. But, I always talk about fanatical prospecting, Dumbo, I don't know if you teach on emails, but, your email really needs to stand out some kind of way, with these people getting so many emails. Some of them have over the years changed the email to it may not, the email that George talks about. That's why we always confirm, even if we know where the email is on Safer, always confirm that that's the email, because that may not be the email they use, the one you see. So just confirm, is that, what's your email? Because they may be truly using another email versus the one that you see on Safer, because that one is full of solicitation. So be careful with that.
Yeah, that's really true. I went through that today. With a customer, and I had his company email, and he said, this sounds good. Send me an email. And I asked him, do you want me to send it to XYZ company, or do you want me to send it to your personal email? And he gave me his personal email. So I was like, oh, thank you, and just ask, and you maybe see.
Yeah, like Dunbar said, like if you're gonna, like send them emails prior to, you may be sending that email, but definitely when you get on the phone with them, like if they say they ain't got it, just confirm it, because it may be another one that they truly check all the time.
It's something you should, Sharanda. Like that's why I mentioned about the throat grabbing emails and the subject line, because I do train on that stuff, because now email marketing is so big that everybody's doing it, that you can't just send an email saying hello, because nobody reads that email. Like that, it looks like junk mail, right? So you've got to have an email that stands out, like Sharanda just mentioned. It's got to say something that's going to catch their attention. And there's certain things I train on when it comes to emails, like don't put a bunch of pictures in there, a bunch of images, and all, because then that ends up going to spam. It ends up being blocked, depends on what kind of security they have. Just like anybody that gets my emails, if you notice, outside of the CDL emails, my emails are starting to change where I'm starting to take bold out of there. I'm starting to take all different kinds of font. It's just a regular, just text email. And I'll have in parentheses a picture inside or a download inside or something like that. Because too many exclamation points, all caps, all those things go to spam. Free, complimentary, here's some free information for you. They're never gonna see that. That's going to spam. Right. So you got to know that you can't put certain things in emails because they're going to go to spam. And the reason why I like to have a system, not just be sending Gmail emails, is because I want a system that I can look and see that they opened my email. I always try to put a link for them to click on, because if it says open and click, now if I go to call Doretha, I know she opened and clicked on my email. So when I call, at least she's going to be familiar, especially if I call the same day and I say, hey, I'm looking to speak to Doretha. And that's that gatekeeper saying, oh, what's this in reference to? I'm Robert Dunbar with Oceanside Benefits Group. I sent her an email earlier. I'm just calling to have a conversation about the email. I'll let her know in the email I was going to be giving her a call. Well, I know she opened it. So if the gatekeeper calls, say, Miss Doretha, there's a guy named Robert on the phone, said you sent me an email. Doretha is thinking, I did open that email. Right? So there it is. Boom. So again, it doesn't work every time, guys, nothing 100%, but you're increasing your chances, especially when it's cold calls. So the email signature is inside the chat, because I think David asked me about the email. What did I put for email signature? Now again, y'all know I don't put Legal Shield. My email signature when I'm doing something cold like that is not going to have Legal Shield. I have a Legal Shield signature, but that's for my groups that I already have open. I'm in there as Legal Shield. I send them emails with my PPLSI signature. If it's a cold company, I'm using my Oceanside Benefits signature or my Living Legacy Benefits signature. I'm never using my training company or my Legal Shield when it's cold, when it's got to do with Legal Shield, because I don't want them to see that email, look at the signature, PPLSI, go research, never have spoken to me. That's why I don't put attachments and all that in there. I don't need you doing research before you talk to me personally.
Right.
I just don't want that.
Hey, Nancy Wolf got her hand up, but she has Nancy. A question too. Yeah.
It's a quick one. Sharanda, when you got a gatekeeper and they say who's calling, what's your answer?
Sharanda.
That's it. You don't have a business name. I mean, you don't say a business name.
I don't get a lot of gatekeepers. That's why I call.
Because you're calling the small ones and you're getting owners. I understand.
Yeah, that's why that's why I'm not trying to go get a gatekeeper. That's why I try to stay, you know what I'm saying?
I understand.
But sometimes, you get those, the owner asks you, who you calling from,
right.
With or whatever. But, it's no secret. Most time, the conversation starts about the violations. Sometimes, believe it or not, when the conversation is flowing, that doesn't come up quick.
I understand. It really was just to get the conversation going is what I was more or less asking. But I understand what you're saying. Just use your name.
Okay, well, what are you asking then? I'm sorry. Did I cut you?
No, it's okay. It's all right. It's fine. I'm going to be calling small companies as well.
So when you call in, and this is like for me, whenever I call a company, if it sometimes I don't even wait for them to ask me. Like I'll say I'm Robert Dunbar with. I'll say that sometimes, right? But I know, again, I don't say Legal Shield because, again, I don't prospect using Legal Shield's name or PPLSI. That's just me personally. I'm not telling y'all not to do it. I have a company that I'm in Legal Shield with, so I use my company name. That's why I formed the company, to be in Legal Shield, so that I can say my company name. So I will say what I stole from Sharanda was commercial division. Like I love that term. Commercial division, and you can say that for whatever company that you have. So if that comes up, I'll say, "Oh, this is Robert Dunbar. I'm calling from the commercial division of Oceanside Benefits Group." You could be the commercial division, of whatever company you want.
When it comes out, when they want to know, right. I make sure that I let them know I'm with the commercial division of. Now I say PPLSI, but normally, that's when I'm field training. That I'm PPLS. Other than that, I'm who I am. But when I'm field training, but it doesn't come out. The question doesn't, they don't ask that early. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
They really don't. So it's just a matter of sharing the service. And then maybe at the end, they'll say, who you're with. And it's no secret, we're with I say I'm with the commercial division of PPLSI. Because the thing about Legal Shield is that, and I go back to when we were in the field, associates was out there prospecting this division, selling just legal plans. So these people, they know Legal Shield. It's not that they don't know Legal Shield. And most of the people we talk to, they either have some type of plan or had some type of Legal Shield plan. So they know Legal Shield. You'll be surprised at how many people don't know Legal Shield has a commercial division, that sells this product because, they were just never approached with it. So that's why I say that, because most people have heard of Legal Shield, so I want them to know we have this special division. And that's where, that thought came from, because a lot of people know Legal Shield, and you don't want them to judge because of what they thought they knew prior to. So.
Yeah, those are great opening lines too. I really do like the commercial division line, and I really do like the your information came across my desk. Right. And I've even heard it's just lately, Sharanda, I heard when I was on a script writing, sales, calling, training, it was just this random guy that was doing the training. And he was like, he didn't say that, but he said something. He said, when somebody asks me where I got the information from, I say to them, one of the departments at our company pulls it from public information. You see what I mean? So like, and they weren't talking about CDL, they were just talking about sales in general. It says, oh yeah, so where did you get my information from? Oh, we have a department that pulls that public information so that we'll pick up the phone and call the companies that we feel like we can help. And that person feels like, okay, they're not really in my business. So I really like that idea because it's smoother. Like that's a lot to say. When you say, hey, your information came across my desk, normally nobody's like, how? Like it's not all that, it's not that serious. Sometimes people just don't know what to say back, so they say something back. And when you say something like that, they move on. Even with the asking about where you're calling from. I very rarely get somebody to ask me where I'm calling from. I volunteer that information a lot more than I've ever asked that information. Mm-hmm. I just don't get a lot of companies that say, now, where are you calling from? A lot of times they just don't ask me that question. They more or less want to know why you calling.
Some of them ask because, like you said, they think it's not public, information, and then you have to explain that it is. But for the most part, when you just starting the conversation, I don't, really get that, in the beginning. We're just engaging, right, in the beginning. But a lot of times they do at the end ask, so what company you're with, who you calling from, where you calling from, and I might get that at the close or whatever. But Annette Roselle asked, what's the difference in the commercial division or business solution? Annette, I came up with that when I was cold calling at home because it was so many solicitations out. And like I said, in the beginning, prospecting in this space, a lot of people just didn't know Legal Shield had this service. A lot of people don't. They just don't know we have a CDLP plan for a plan just for truckers. A lot of people just don't know that. And, you can say, say whatever you like. It's just something I came up with and that has worked for me because of that. Sometimes it's business solutions. I don't really say that in my spiel, but in my signature, I have business solutions. I have it in my signature, but I hardly ever say it in my spiel. I just always focus on the commercial division of, Legal Shield or PPLSI.
Niche marketing is about making people feel like your training is for them. So if I opened up a clinic that was just for pregnant women, you're going to say that in your marketing. You're going to say that in your signature. You're going to say that every chance you get because you want that customer you're going after to know. So like for me, commercial division, it doesn't mean anything to Legal Shield. What it means to my prospect is They're a commercial driving company, and I'm calling from the commercial division. Let's tell them in the back of their mind, oh, that's why they're calling us, because they're calling from the commercial division, and we're a commercial company, right? Whether it be trucking, logistics, whatever, they know that their industry is called commercial driving. So to them, we're calling the right place. That's one of those sales and psychology moves right there for me, right? I'm calling from the commercial drivers division, or I'm calling from the commercial division. It's like, especially when you're saying legal shield. If you're saying legal shield, because again, like Sharanda said, people were, oh, I know what legal shield is already. We don't need that. We don't want that. We have that already. We had that before. I had that before. All of those different things. When you say commercial division, it's like, wait a minute, what do you mean commercial division? Oh, no, Legal Shield offers a plan, a commercial driver's legal plan. Have you heard of that? Oh, I never knew about that before. Now you're having a different conversation with them than what they've heard before. So that's all marketing. That's all marketing for me to be able to say that. I don't call, like when I'm calling on my training company, I don't just say I'm a training company. If I know who my prospect is, what I'm going to say when I call is going to be based on what I know that they would need from me. I'm going to mention that part of my training company. I specialize in this. I have programs for this or that. Does that make sense? It's the same thing. If you want your prospect to stay on the phone, you got to keep their interest, especially nowadays with YouTube Shorts and TikTok and Reels. It's ridiculous. 30 seconds, nobody don't want to talk to you no more than 30 seconds. If you haven't reached their attention in 30 seconds, they're off the phone. Nobody wants to talk longer than that. You got to be quick. You got to show interest real fast and get them to boom. And that's why those throat grabbing emails or throat grabbing email signatures, email subject lines, the preview line that they read before they open up the email that's in their box when they're going down, those have to be very catchy to make them click, because they're looking at 100 emails when they wake up in the morning. Between the people who had the audacity to email them at 11 o'clock at night, all the way through the middle of the night. And now when they get up at 8 o'clock in the morning, they already got 100 emails, and they stopped checking the emails at 9 last night. And they still got 100.
You got a hand up, and he's in the inbox too.
Oh, I'm sorry. Patron. I didn't say that. I hope I'm saying this right. Patron. I
was going to say to patron, be careful about DOT violations and what else you say? Something about safety, because there's nobody really out there like sending that it's not soliciting. So be careful with that.
My main thing, because I have a trucking company, and I just started recently, so I only have one truck. I don't really drive anymore. I have two drivers, but usually in the subject line, any email that says FMCSA, I'm definitely opening it. Always, because we also like this week, we got one of my drivers got chosen for a random drug test. So you don't want to miss one of those, because then that driver will be out of service.
But that should come from your consortium, not FMCSA.
It does come from a consortium, but you know, it's in the subject line, it does reference FMCSA. I'm not sure if you guys have seen it, but I can show you what it looks like.
Oh, I know what it looks like. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's and keep in mind, like, again, you got to be creative, guys. So just you can't put FMCSA in your subject line like your FMCSA. You got to be creative when you do that. So for instance, when I used FMCSA in the subject line before, because I've done that, and I emailed, remember when they did the warning, FMCSA had a warning, I put that in the subject line. I said, FMCSA warned you. And I got a lot more openings, but I wasn't making them think I was FMCSA. I was saying FMCSA warns you, which made them open my email, which was me letting them know that I can help them with the issues that will be happening from that. Does that make sense? So you got to get a little creative, but you have to be able to get their attention. And certain things like that is going as a trucking company or owner or driver, whatever, if they have any skin in the game, they're going to want to open up an email that's going to be alarming like that, then, because they feel like it's something that they need to know. So it's got to be something that's going to make them open it, because think about your own inbox. what it looks like. And some of you all don't even represent yourselves as a business. Like y'all don't tell people that y'all are a business. So y'all getting regular personal emails, that many emails. Imagine when you're actually online as a business. Man, you get so much crap that comes in. It's like you gotta make time on your calendar to go through this nonsense. So you're skipping through everything that doesn't seem like it's important. So you have to create emails, and that's very important when you're doing email marketing, to make sure that people read your emails, because I don't care what you got in there. You could be giving gold away for $1. If they don't open your email, they'll never get it. So they've got to open up that email. So last tip before I go, last tip, something that I've learned to do when I send emails that helps is I use my name. So those that get emails from me, you may have noticed my emails used to come TBD coaching, training by Dunbar. They now say Robert A. Dunbar III. And what I noticed is when I changed that, right, my percentage of openings went up like 17%. Because when it's a business email, guess what happens to it? Your email service throws it in promotion, it throws it in spam. When it says Robert Dunbar, your email service thinks that's a personal email, and then you actually see it, which means you open it. So use your name. So even if you send in Legal Shield emails, use your actual name as where it's coming from, right? So it should say Carmen Guzman, and then like that's what it should say. When they're looking through their emails, it should say Barbara Smith, Carmen Guzman, Barbara Owens, Daryl Stanley, right? George Carvello. That's what it should say. It shouldn't say Legal Shield. It shouldn't say PPLSI, because then that might end up in their promotion box, because you're now soliciting and their email is trying to keep that away from them unless they want to see it. Does that make sense? So you'll get more openings if you do that. Yep, absolutely. Good stuff. Well, we way over today. It's 10:07. Lord have mercy. We doing what's this? We doing the 5th annual. Okay, guys. Hey, John, I heard nothing from you in a minute. You got anything else to say, brother? I know you sitting back there like you in the audience, man. Come on, talk to me.
No, I was learning. I was enjoying that. That was some genius tactics you have there. One thing I come across is that sometimes when you ask for a list of the drivers, though, maybe you can get that. I get some response from the groups that I sign up that says, well, we can't give that to you as private information. And that doesn't make sense to me, why they sign up for the program, but they won't give you access to the drivers.
Yeah, I mean, it's a task. I mean, it's never easy, but you get it though, right, George? Eventually, right? One day,
yeah,
the sky's gonna open, and they're gonna have this. Ooh,
light bulb's
look in your
gonna go off.
inbox, and then there it goes.
Yeah.
Pain in the butt, George. I need them now. Yeah.
And I really do send some crazy emails sometimes to prospects. I don't send them to y'all because y'all, I send them to actual prospects. I will be like, you will not believe this. And they'll open it up and be like, right? It goes into my pitch. And they will open it. And if it's a good pitch, if it's good information, then they like, oh, he tricked me a little bit, but this is good. I'm glad I opened it. So it's got to be something that they're going to like. You can't sell them on nonsense when they open it. It needs to be something that's educational, beneficial to them. So just keep that in mind, because you don't want to be clickbait for people. So I do set them up sometime, but I always make sure it's good information. I always put a PDF or something in there that there's a takeaway, and they're like, oh, okay, this is in here. But it's about them opening the email and seeing what. And plus, it kind of whitelists me too when I do that. Once they open up an email, especially if they respond back or click something, now my emails are coming to their direct inbox. And that really does help when you're doing email marketing, if you email people at home before you make calls and stuff like that. So absolutely. So thank you everybody for their tips. I hope I'm saying your name right, Patron. Thank you for the FMCSA tip as well. Thank you guys all for participating. Everybody who let us call you to the front. We appreciate you guys, and everybody all you 52 people who stayed past 10 o'clock at night. You guys are absolutely
great. Hold up. Somebody saying, Bernita Dansby said, I just had to add to an earlier post before I go. I have had for the past 45 minutes. So making. Okay.
Oh, got you. Okay. Yeah. I see what you putting there. Good stuff. Thank you for that, Bernita. I don't want to mess your name up. I'm good at that. Thank you guys so much for hanging with us. Next week, we'll be doing part 2 on the code. And you are going to get some scripts. Just keep in mind, very general, because scripts and CDLP are about what did you see on their safety score. That's what you should be talking about. It should be, your conversation with them should be about what you pulled. So I want you guys to keep that in mind. So this is not the regular business solutions arena where you can say the same thing to every company because it's just a company and the legal plan is going to do generally the same thing. Our just CDL product is a little bit different. So what you're going to say is going to be determined on what you pull, if that makes sense. Right? So good stuff, guys. Next week, talk to you guys all again. This will be on YouTube and it's called Cold Calling Script Process Part 1. So just pull it there. And the replays are in the email, guys. So y'all telling on yourself, all y'all that message me on Messenger, that go to the Facebook page, that send me the texts, that send me the emails, especially when y'all email me from the CDL email and be like, where are the replays? I'm like, right on the email you just responded to. That you didn't read all the way down to the bottom. So at the bottom of the CDL email, there's a video with a play button. If you click that, it'll take you to the YouTube channel and it'll have all the replays right in one area on a playlist. And the CDL certification training link is always in every email. So if you scroll down right under the box that says register for our weekly call, you're going to see the last bullet point on those 3 bullet points. It's going to say CDLP certification registration link, and it's going to be in that email. And every time we change, this a new training, I put a new link in there. Make
sure you jump on the one Saturday.
That's right, 27.
The one and only Lamar Reynolds will be there.
Lamar Reynolds, Roman training, so jump on that training.
Lamar and Adam. Yep.
Go to the CDLP email. Just go to your inbox and type in your subject line episode, and it'll pull up all of those emails I send you. That I've been
I never got the email.
Weekly for 4 weeks. Say that again.
I never got the email.
Who's that talking? I can't see who that is.
Patron.
Oh, I don't have it. Oh, I may not have your email. So if you want to put it in the chat right here, I can grab it right here. That'd be the easiest thing. You just might not be on my email list. That's probably what that is.
Okay, I'm putting it in now.
Yeah. Anybody else that's not getting emails from me, because I mean the people who not the y'all that blocked me. I'm talking about the people. I know why you're not getting my email, because you shut me down. That's okay. I love you anyway. But if you're not getting my email, some of y'all be like, I don't get your emails, and I go on my list and look, and you done unsubscribed 3 months ago. I'm like, you didn't get my email because you got mad at me one day because you got too many emails. And guess what? I put you back on the list just like you asked me to.
Do you email every week?
Yeah, I normally do it on Mondays, but sometimes I'll do it over the weekend, and it's always talking about this call, just preparing people for this call. And if I come up with any PDFs, anything I have to do with CDL, I'll send that out. And I also send out reminders to register for the CDLP certification training that happens every month.
Fire, thanks.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Good night. Everybody have a great rest of your night, great rest of your week. You too. Same thing for you guys as well. Thank you guys for joining us again. So it's growing, it's growing.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night, all.
Good night, family.
Good night.
Good night. Good night. If Sharon, if you still on, thank you, Sharon, as well for helping out, letting people in. I know you back there in the background helping out as a co-host. If you're still there. Oh yeah, you still there. I still see you. Okay, good stuff.
Good training. Good training.
Thank you, guys.